Hey guys, it's Ciara and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about how I organise my revision materials for GCSE English Literature. I'm going to show you through my folders and my magazine file with all of my workbooks and revision guides in. First I'm going to show you through my folder. As you can see, my folder is not as big as my science folder, which if you saw my previous video you will know it has a lot in there. But this one isn't quite as big. I feel like there will be a lot more in this folder by the time my actual GCSEs come around, because obviously I would have done a lot more revision and I will have a lot more in there. But I just wanted to show you guys roughly how I organise my folder and how I keep everything together. So as you open up my folder, you will see this revision checklist in the side. So I have all of the texts that I study and the poems and everything, and then how confident I am at them, and I can just tick them off as I go, as I've learnt them and as I've revised them, and then I will know what I need to revise and what I am confident on. So as with my science folder like before, the first page is just an overview of the exam. So it will say what paper 1 contains and what paper 2 contains. Whatever 2 texts you choose to do with your school will be in the first paper, and then the second paper will always be Shakespeare and Unseen. Please note, if you are in year 10 this year, that this won't be your exam layout. This is for the 2021 exams only, but next year it will be different, so it will be the same as usual, so I wouldn't worry about if that looks weird to you. The first thing I have is just sort of, it says revision guide, but it's just sort of like an overview with some like key points about the exam in it. I found it online and I thought it was really helpful. It says what's in paper 1, so for the current year 10 this is what you would actually have in your exam. It gives a few like techniques and examples and what the technique actually means, just so I know all my literary devices and things like that. There's word class analysis. There's just some general information which is really helpful. I think this 7 steps to success thing is actually really good, and I have used that quite a few times. I'm currently studying Macbeth in class, however we haven't finished it. We're literally just about to finish the first act, so I've just got only a few sheets at the front, so that's why I don't really have a section for it, but eventually there will be a Macbeth section that is complete in this folder. So this is just a knowledge organiser that I got given by my teacher. It's double-sided, it has context, key quotes, characters, all things like that on there. This is something I printed off that I found online that I found really helpful, and this is all the themes. And then this is something I got given by my school, the next few pages, which are just like the key quotes for each theme and which character said them, which I think are really helpful. So here is my, I guess you could call it, context page, telling me what the different file dividers are for. So the first 5 are for Inspector Calls, and the rest are for the Power and Conflict poems. Here I have another revision checklist, but just for Inspector Calls, for the characters, setting, context, all sorts of things like that, just so I can keep track of what I know and what I don't know. Then I just have like an overview of the plot and what's going on in the play and whatever, and just some sort of key quotes. Here I have an act summary, and then I have something I found online which is called A-star alternatives, which is just like A-star answers that you can practice with. Then I have all the themes of Inspector Calls on a mind map, and then some more notes about the themes. Then I have the characters, and then there's a page like this for each character with lots of quotes and information about each character. Then again I have character profiles, keywords, and just sort of like a little overview of what's in this. This is something I found online again. I also found this online with the other stuff, and it's just sort of words that you could use to describe the characters that are really high level words. Half of these words I've never even seen before in my life, but there is a meaning for them, so I will learn them. Okay, so I'm just going to show you an example of this for one of the poems, but every poem in here has the exact same sheets and formatting, obviously just for the poem itself. That's the only thing that changes. Other than that, it's the same thing. So this is a mind map of everything I need to know about Ozymandias, which is a poem in the Power and Conflicts anthology on the AQA exam board. There's context, structure, quotes, pretty much everything I need to know all in one mind map, so I can just look at that as a quick like reminder for an exam or whatever. And then these are again something I found off Physics and Maths Tutor, which I know sounds weird because it's not an English website, but they are really good, and I'm very glad I came across them. There's notes on context, structure, form, language, key ideas, and a synopsis. This is my favourite part about this. There is the full poem and has annotations referring to the matching colour. So I find that really helpful because these are like really high level answers, and I struggle with annotating the poems in lessons and everything. So I find this really helpful to tell me what everything actually means, because there's a lot of poems, for example like Checking Out Me History, where I literally don't even know what it's talking about. So the fact that somebody else has annotated it for me and I can just look through that is really helpful to me. Then it just analyses the title and tells you what the title is about, and then it just gives you a little overview about the rest of it really, and any other information that might be important. There's things like structure, so rhyme schemes. It'll also tell you what sort of language devices are used, which again is a really key thing to know. So it's really good that these are on this website so that you can use them to know literally everything you need to know about the poem. Another really good bit is obviously in the exam you have to compare the poem to a different poem with a similar theme or whatever, and it literally gives you comparisons of what you could compare Ozymandias to or whatever the poem is, and it's so helpful. It tells you the similarities and differences between the poems and gives you ideas of which ones you could use, which I just think is incredible and really helpful. And then the rest of them are honestly just the same. Like London, there's literally just all the same sheets. They have the exact same information on, just obviously it applies to that poem rather than a different one. But it's so helpful, and I would highly recommend checking these out. I will leave a link below on where you can find these resources, because I really think that a lot of people should use them. So I don't even think, even if I do more revision on them, I genuinely don't think I'm going to have any more to put in there, because pretty sure for all my poetry I'm sorted revision wise. And then at the back I just have some exam practice questions that I've either printed off or been given by my school. I have one for Macbeth in there. There's unseen poetry practice, there's power and conflict poetry practice, there's inspector calls practice, there's exam practice questions for all the different texts. Obviously that's not full because that's quite thin, but I'm going to put some more in there just so I can practice with. You can usually find them online if you just type in practice questions and then your exam board and your text really. This is a quotes mind map that I've not finished making yet. I've started it obviously, but I started it the other day, but I haven't got around to finishing it, so I'm going to finish that at some point. This plastic wallet is just where I put all of the things that I started but I've not quite finished yet, or things that I don't really know where to put them in my folder. These are just some English language notes that I have in here because obviously this folder is for English literature, but there is not enough content in English language for me to make an entire folder for it. So I just thought I'd put all my English language stuff at the back of my English literature folder. Obviously the texts have been reduced now, and A Christmas Carol has now been taken out by our school. So this is all the information that I did on it, but obviously I don't need this anymore. And then in this plastic wallet here I just have a few more things I was given by my school for A Christmas Carol, but obviously I don't need them anymore. But I just thought I'd keep them anyway because I'm giving all my revision material either to my niece because she's doing her GCSEs in 2 years' time, or I'm going to give them to people on Depop if they want them, or like whatever. Some of my friends might even want them who are younger than me, so yeah, I'll give it away afterwards. So I might just keep that in there in case somebody else is doing Christmas Carol. The next thing I'm going to be showing you is some of the stuff I have in my magazine file for English. It's kind of heavy, so it's kind of falling apart, but oh well. First thing I have in here is just this little snap revision guide of Macbeth. Haven't actually used it yet, but I know people really like live by these when it comes to Macbeth. So it just has sort of like the plot, just has the plot overview, setting and context, characters, themes, and then what happens in the exam. I also have this copy of Macbeth that my cousin gave to me. I don't think it has any annotations in it because I've not actually used it, but basically just the script of the play with a few little annotations telling you what some of the Old English means. Another thing I have in my box, which honestly has been a saviour for me, is this book called No Fear Shakespeare. I got it on Amazon. My teacher recommended it to me as she uses it to teach us our lessons, and on one side it has the Old English, so like the original text, and then on the other side it has the modern English version, so what it would sound like if those words were written in the modern day. So it really helps me understand it, and honestly without this book I would not understand Macbeth one bit, so it's a saviour. It was only £5 on Amazon and it's quite thick. The next thing I have is the CGP text guide for Macbeth. Again, haven't really used it yet because we've only just started doing Macbeth, so I haven't really need to revise it because we're literally just learning it at the moment. That just sort of has similar things to the Snap Revision Guide, so it has discussion of the acts, characters, context and themes, Shakespeare's techniques and exam advice, which I'm assuming I'm going to get a lot of use out of this book. Next, for Macbeth, I have the York Notes study guide. I've heard a lot about York Notes on YouTube, and looking through it I can tell it's a very good book. It has key themes. At the back it even has like a family freaking tree, like, well, not a family tree, but like a character tree or whatever it's called. It has like sample answers, it has pretty much everything that the other books have, but there's a lot more pictures, and I'm quite a visual learner, so I feel like this is going to be really helpful to me. Moving on to Power and Conflict, this is the AQA Anthology of Poetry Power and Conflict guide from CGP. I have actually used this a lot. So in the cover it just has sort of an overview of the themes that you get in each poem and how they all link to each other, and then for example this is Charge of the Light Brigade. It has the annotated version of the poem, and it has things about form, structure, language, things to remember, little practice questions, context. Like, I literally lived by this in year 9 when we were learning the poems because I did not understand the poems, and I found that very helpful. Next I have the Mr. Bruff's Guide to Inspector Calls. Mr. Bruff is somebody who I live by when it comes to English. He is a saviour of my grades, honestly. So I bought this book off him. I haven't actually used it yet for some reason, I just haven't been bothered to revise Inspector Calls really. I bought this like last year. It has key quotes in it, it has like character descriptions, it has like quizzes about the acts and the characters and things like that in it, so it has really helpful stuff in it. It has themes, it has social and historical context, setting and structure, timeline of the play, things like that, which are really come in helpful to me when I'm revising it. The next thing I have is the CGP and Inspector Calls text guide. So this is just sort of similar to the Macbeth one, where it has analysis and practice questions and themes and things like that in it really. The next revision guide I have is the GCSE AQA English Language CGP revision guide. I don't actually use this. I feel like if I looked at it, it could be a bit of help to me, but I don't really use it. It just sort of tells you what each of the questions are and sort of just explains to you how you answer the questions really. And there's a few things to do with language devices in there, sentence forms, and also assistance for paper 1 question 5 and paper 2 question 5, because obviously creative writing sometimes it's hard to know where to start, so it gives you advice and shows you really where to start with it. The last revision guide I have is the CGP Unseen Poetry guide. Again, haven't looked at this yet because we've not even practiced this in class, we've not even talked about it in class, so I've just not really bothered with it. But it looks like it's going to be really helpful to me, just so I can sort of practice doing the poetry, the unseen poetry section. Next in the box I have my year 10 English book. I don't really use this, but I know it's going to come in a lot of help to me because my year 10 teacher made us write literally everything down. So everything I know about Inspector Calls is in this book, and it's going to be a lifesaver for me when it comes to revising it. I also have some English language practice papers, which obviously I haven't used yet, but I do plan to use when it gets closer to my mocks and my actual GCSEs. Last thing I have in there is just this sort of like folder with a few notes about English language exam and some flashcards about the Power and Conflict poetry anthology. Okay, so I filmed this video yesterday, and just while I was filming it my camera decided to die, so I had to wait until the battery charged to do the outro, so here I am. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really appreciate it. If you got all the way to the end, please like and comment any other suggestions for future videos you'd like to see from me. Please subscribe if you're not already. Also, please feel free to follow me on Instagram. My usernames will be on the screen. Thank you so much for watching. See you next time. Bye!